Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And Rutherford Issues is brought to you here on WGNS and Big G TV by our friends at Middle Tennessee Electric, who remind us that better communication leads to better service. Keep your contact info current at mte.com so you never miss an update on billing and local outages. Well, it's time to get an update on what's going on with the Better Business Bureau. James, this is funny. You could see me while Dalton was doing the Rutherford Roundup, and I was doing other things. But every now and then I'd glance over and I would see your facial expressions. There was a lot of news that might have been of BBB interest, I guess, talking about scams and different things, right?
Yeah, I mean, just everything around us. And I thought today would be a good day for us to kind of review some of the consumer resources that are available to people on BBB. And people may not be aware of all these different things that are going on. And so let's kind of jump into it. So under consumer tips that you can get, one, whether you're trying to find a contractor to work on your home or building your business, avoiding scams, internet, BBB has a lot of different resources. We can talk about, your home headquarters of making sure that it stays healthy, your financial wellness headquarters where you can find people to help you with your different financial, whether it's getting a loan or retirement, taxes, where you can go and you can find a tax professional that can help you file your taxes or hopefully get as much money back as you possibly can. Of course, your scam headquarters. And a lot of scammers out there, they use technology to try to reach people today or scam them, take your money. And you can learn a whole lot about that. Cybersecurity poses more threats now than ever before. And so there's different layers of security that BBB can help you with. There's the disaster headquarters with BBB, where if you're dealing with a fire or a flood or a natural disaster, the businesses on BBB can help you find the resources to get you back to where you need to be. Older adults, and this is a big thing on scams, is older adults are targeted because scammers think older adults trust other people. They're easier to persuade. And the other part is that sometimes the scammers find that they're easier to confuse. And if you can get people confused about different things, then you can get them to do almost anything. Of course, online shopping headquarters, if you are shopping online, go to BBB and check out the people or the organizations you want to buy from. Holidays, and this is anything from finding gifts to giving to charities. We can help you make sure that your charities are going to the right place. Securing your own ID. BBB has a secure ID day that really helps people resolve vehicle disputes. And, there's a thing with a lemon law and class action lawsuits that BBB can help people through when they have issues with cars. And, of course, everybody's favorite is your pet headquarters, where whether you're trying to find a pet or care for a pet or that kind of thing, you can find all those answers on BBB.
You mentioned scams, and so here is an interesting walk in the life of myself and Melissa here at the station. So a week ago, it was last Friday afternoon, I get a phone call and said, "This is Verizon. We're calling to say that, there's been some fraudulent activity on your account. Looks like someone tried to buy phones in Texas." I said, "Oh, really? Okay." And the phone call went on, and I was really suspicious. They said, well, if you'll check your email, you'll see an email from us. So I checked the email. It looked like all of the other emails that I've gotten from Verizon, except the email address was different. And it turned out that that was someone trying to get my personal information to then, in fact, probably purchase those things that were being done. And that took, oh gosh, I was on the phone for 30 minutes before I realized. I mean, and I'm pretty vigilant. I mean, I talk to you every couple of weeks on this kind of stuff. So that one was pretty real, or it was very real for me. But I mean, everything seemed legit. And you just have to be so very careful. And then yesterday, Melissa was telling me about that same thing happened, and she got a call and said, this is so-and-so at so-and-so bank, which happened to be her bank. And like there was some fraudulent activity there. And that phone call went on for a moment before she determined. And then she said, well, I will call the bank and we'll go from there. And that's when she found out that, no, there's nothing wrong going on. So these scammers are getting pretty good at what they do. My point.
Yeah. So that's the right thing to do right there. So if somebody calls you up, I don't care if it's Verizon or your bank or whatever, one of the very first things you want to do is say, okay, well, let me call you. And then what you do is you go get the phone number to the bank or Verizon. You call the number yourself. And that will actually be one of the things that is key. If it's a real scam, then the bank would know. And that's another good reason why to build a good relationship with your bank or a banker. I mean, the banks that I deal with, I know people by their first name. So if there's a scam that comes up, I mean, I've even got people's mobile numbers, and I'll go, hey, I just got this call about this scam. Yeah. Or about a warning. Yeah, that's a scam.
Yeah.
But, talking about scams and stuff, when you go to BBB.org, you can read about the latest scams and scam alerts that are out there and find out, what are the ones that the scammers are up to right now. And then the other part about it is reporting a scam when you go to Scam Tracker, which is basically in the same kind of area right there. You can read about the scams or you can report a scam. And I highly encourage people to report scams on Scam Tracker because, you can narrow it down to a neighborhood. And if there's scams going on in your neighborhood, we want to know about it. And we want to actually warn everybody what's going on with that scam.
Those are some important tips, and we're looking at the different resources for consumers. We've talked about consumer tips and scams, and getting the latest scam news. These are things that a consumer will benefit from the Better Business Bureau. Reporting scams. Often, maybe that's happened to you, or report those scams. I reported mine on Scam Tracker. That's a great resource to help other people hopefully not be scammed by the same things.
So, and then some of the other things that we have, one is if you need some work done on your home, or you need to get a contractor or plumbing, electric, anything, you're going to go out and buy furniture, whatever, you can go to BBB.org and you can go to find a business. And so if you're looking for a plumber near Murfreesboro or a furniture store near Murfreesboro, whatever, you can find the businesses that are accredited, and you can find the ones that are not accredited. And if they're not accredited, you can find out, if they have complaints filed against them and how they've handled them. Did the customer who actually make the complaint, did they make a legitimate complaint, or were they just kind of whining about the business? And, you would think that, the customer is always right, but that's not always true. Because there are customers out there who try to take advantage of businesses, even up to the point where they'll blackmail them and say, hey, if you don't do this, I'm going to leave you a bad review. And that's just wrong. And the business can actually tell us about that, and we'll actually work on that with the business. But if it is a legitimate complaint, you can go to bbb.org and file a complaint against the business. Now, we've said before on here is that you always want to look up the business before you go to work or do business with them, because if they have a history and they're on BBB, you can see that. If you have a business on BBB that you've had a bad experience with, and you go on there and you find that they have an A rating, they may or may not have complaints, but most likely those businesses will work with you to resolve a complaint. And if you can't get that resolved with the business directly, maybe there's a communication barrier between you and the business. You go to BBB, file the complaint, and we kind of help handle that dispute and the resolution, and help businesses and the consumers come together. Our vision is to create an ethical marketplace where businesses and customers can trust each other. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring people together. And then there's another part on the bbb.org website. It's called Get a Quote. And this is a really great program where if you need, let's just say you need something done, you need plumbing done or a roof or some kind of upgrade to a house, you can go to bbb.org, go to Get a Quote, and you can write in there, hey, I'm looking for somebody to do this kind of work. And instead of you calling all these other businesses, we'll actually post it up and we'll actually send that to accredited businesses, and then they can end up calling you. And so one of the things that I know that I hate doing is when I have something that I need to have done is, I got to get on the phone and I got to figure out who does this and get pricing, and I want to compare this. I mean, this is a great way to do it. You just let the businesses know that you need that kind of work, and they'll work with you. They'll find a way to get the job done. And the accredited businesses, they've actually they adhere to the 8 standards of trust, which is build trust, advertise honestly, tell the truth, be transparent. They'll honor their promises. They're responsive. They'll safeguard your privacy, and they embody integrity. And so BBB holds those businesses to those standards. And if for any reason at all we find that the business is not adhering to those standards, well, then we'll address it with that business directly and tell them, hey, this complaint that we got actually violates one of these standards. But I think you'll find that most of the time, if you find an accredited business, they're going to go by those standards.
James Price here with the Better Business Bureau. We're talking about, the various consumer resources that are available out there for you. And I would assume that the BBB website is the best place to get started on many of these things too.
Oh, absolutely. And then, of course, you can go in there and you can leave a review for a business. And we highly encourage people, you have a good experience with somebody, go leave them a positive review. Go to bbb.org and, hey, I want to leave a review for this business. And businesses like that, they like great reviews. They like to know that people appreciate what they're doing and all the effort they put into the work that they do for you.
The review process is similar to others that are out there in terms of, you can leave a certain number of stars and write down whatever is there, right? But yours is different. How from others?
Well, one, it's going to go right to the BBB site. It's going to go onto that BBB's page. All you have to do is to leave a review for a business is just go to bbb.org, click on the leave a review button, type in the name of the business, and we'll put it out there. The other part is that the business, if you're a business and you get a complaint or review, if you're a business, respond to any complaint from BBB. We'll help you through that.
Right.
If you're a business and you leave a review, what we can do is the business can respond to that, say thank you or whatever. Or if it's not a good review, that business has an opportunity to put their thoughts in it before it gets posted anywhere.
And that was the key, because I've heard of many businesses say, we just got flooded and it was Joe who was unhappy and got, 10 of his friends to write a bad review, and all of a sudden there are 10 bad reviews from some other platform. You kind of weed through those kinds of things.
Yeah, we have somebody that actually validates every single review, and we'll actually go back to the consumer and they'll need to respond with saying, no, this was really me, this is really what happened. And then after that, the business has a chance to put their 2 cents in, positive or negative, and then after that it would get posted.
Yeah. So, but there's someone in between. It's not an immediate posting. You confirm, hey, was this really you that did this? And then you have to confirm, and then the business. So there's a process, and it doesn't just immediately go up there. So, I mean, there's some safeguards in place, which make that pretty cool.
Right. With some of the social media accounts, I mean, you can go write a review about a business and you can click back on it like 2 seconds later and it's posted.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We actually vet the reviews before they'll get posted, and they won't be immediate. I mean, it'll take a little time, give the business a chance to go back in.
Yeah. All good stuff. Well, James,
so let's talk a little bit about a couple of things going on here. Brian, Big Blue Bash is coming up for BBB, coming up on April 21st. It's a signature event created to celebrate and engage our accredited businesses, a community. It's going to be on April 21st at Titan Stadium. If you want tickets, you can email jprice@gobbb.org. And of course, you can always get my information on your great radio station, WGNS. You can get there. We're going to recognize our Torch and Spark Award winners. And Danielle Breezy will be our mistress of ceremonies for that night. So you can come out and enjoy some of that. I will be at Rutherford County's College and Career Night on March 10th over at the Ag Center. Starts at 5 to 7:30. That's on John Rice Boulevard. I will be giving information out on what it takes to get a scholarship through BBB. And so if you're in junior high, high school, it doesn't matter. Find out now what you need to do to get the criteria for scholarships along the way. And students that do that early in their schooling career, they actually get more scholarships along the way. And so BBB gives out about 20 of those a year through that. And of course, you can always sign up for our newsletters through LinkedIn, through Facebook, Instagram. You can email jprice@gobbb.org, and we can get you those newsletters that we put out on a regular basis.
Okay. Keep updated on all the scams and things like that going on out there. And that's going to wrap us up here, I guess, James. I appreciate you joining us this morning.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely.
See you soon.
Sounds good. James Price of the Better Business Bureau joining here on Rutherford Issues today. If you missed any part of the program, it will take me a few minutes, but I'll get the podcast loaded up. That way you can go back and listen back. Some great information if you want to know about what it is the BBB can do for you as a consumer. Until next time, take care out there.